welcome everybody. It's your boy, the Versace down there. We're in another episode of VSW Podcast today. Well, we're still up in Maine. I had to find him. I've been hearing his name drop quite a bit now by a few promoters, and all for the right reasons. The one and only Lights Out Lee Miller. Welcome to the VSW Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I have to say I did. I heard your name a couple of times across the board. I heard it out of Randy. I heard it out of Larry. I heard it out of a bunch of people. That you're an up and rising star up there.
I I don't want to build on my ego, but I like to say that I've been at it for 7 years, so the last 2 years I've really been digging deep and pushing for it.
You've kind of honed in and tuned in on your career and kind of fine tuned what you want out of it and really put it all in.
Yes, I've really pushed in for it this year. This year is actually the first year that I've really tried to expand out of Maine.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. So you said you've been in it for about 7 years. That brings it back in 24,
2017.
about 2017. Yeah. Okay, so you started training up. I'm guessing you trained up in Maine. Trained, where'd you go? The dojo?
And no, I started with IWE, Independent Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah.
They opened a school in Winslow, down behind a mechanic Jimmy's garage in Winslow on 201, down in the chicken barn. We called it the Dirty Dungeon. It was literally, we were in an old broken down chicken barn. We were trained there, started with Sonny Roselli and John the Bomb Breyer. Sonny and Bomb ended up giving training over to Sean Killian, who turned it into Matt and Muscle, Sean Killian's Matt and Muscle School. Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling, the school. And I stayed there until it closed. Once it closed, I went to training with Larry, became Larry's right hand. Anything Larry needed, I still do now. If Larry says do this, I do it.
Yep.
Between Larry and going to the dojo once a week, that's been my training.
So now you're over. Yeah, now you're over at the dojo. You've kind of moved on there, and
Yes.
between that and Larry, but Larry keeps busy. Let's just face facts. Like he was telling me, he runs sometimes like 60 shows in a year, between like the fair days and everything else.
As of right now, confirmed bookings, I want to say roughly for him alone in 2025, if I say yes to them all right now, would be a total of 30.
That's impressive though. That's impressive because there's only 12 months, and some people only run once a month. Some people run every other month. That is impressive. And it's also great for the wrestlers and everybody because you get more time. More time, the better. Yes, obviously
you can hone in your skills and zone and stuff that you want to do.
Of course, the gym and the training is very important, but getting to use it and put it into practical use constantly, that helps as well. Putting the both together, you come out like a monster. And that's great. That's great to kind of witness. To be able to get to see the people get to wrestle that often. Because I feel like, yes, in mass it's kind of the same way, but it's a little bit different. We have a lot of promotions, probably more than you guys in Maine, and they all run just like every weekend. So like every weekend, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different companies will just run. So you can see the same guys kind of that way, going to different shows. But then sometimes you're like pitted against do I go here or do I go there? What do I do? You'll have Saturdays with 3 shows in a row. You could have 1 in Maine, 2 in Mass. All happen. Maine, I don't see it happen as often. Once in a blue moon. Like the Rumble, you happen to have a double booking that day. There's 2 shows happening. But for the most part, everything is spread out.
It's very rare. Usually the one good thing about Maine is all the promoters try to talk, so we're not lapping on top of one another. Because we usually tend to book mostly the same talent. So we're trying to take from the same pool. So we don't want to do it on the same date. So communication is very key between the promoters up here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. I mean, I would say there is communication in mass. I don't think there's not, but I feel like sometimes it just kind of gets either lost or people just are just out of dates of when they can run. The hall's got to run because there's just so many people running and things going. Um, and plus the wrestling in Maine is like spread out more. You'll have like a 2 3 hour travel time between shows where like here it could be just like the next town over sometimes, or even like a couple towns over.
Oh, I've done a double shot in Maine a couple of times. We went from the Whoopie Pie Festival for Let's Wrestle this year down to South Portland for Larry.
Nice.
And that was roughly an hour drive.
That's pretty good.
So
I mean, that's
it
good to be able to do that because like when it does line up right or shows do line up right, talent can like work 2 3 times in a day.
yes.
Now, what made you want to take wrestling? I would say, I guess, more serious or get more fine tuned in the last few years.
I got pushed more. I had Jason Maverick on my ass trying to get me to go to the dojo constantly for, I'd say, 2 years. Him and my wife. They've been roughly on me to go and stop dicking around, stop just getting by. Like Larry's very old school, so I can pull off that WWE old school style very easily. But both Jason and her wanted me to get more technical, more the modern style, more up with it. So Maverick getting pushed more and me starting with him really kind of ate at me. Like I've been doing this a year longer than he has, and he's getting pushed more than I am because he's more consistent at the dojo than I was. So it finally ate at me enough to be like, all right, enough of your ego bullshit. Dig deep and get what you want.
Yep, yep. And no, I can see that. And I mean, there's no better place to do it. The dojo has, one of the greatest training facilities, and just I think trainers in the Northeast. There's a lot of great schools out there, but a lot of great people are coming out of the dojo. Limitless itself has such a rich history in pro wrestling, and I have to say, in like the short time span too, like it's been like 8 years or so, and they've just done so many tremendous feats from the smallest of whatever to like what they pulled off at the last Vacation Land Cup.
Like you and I were talking on Facebook, that Rumble is going to be insane. Not just because it's the first Rumble, it's 8 years of history through Limitless. Anybody in those 8 years can walk through that curtain. You're talking the likes of Darby Allin. You're talking the likes of Keith Lee. You're talking the likes of Dijak. Alec Price is probably more than likely going to walk through that curtain.
You never even know. I mean, with everything that's going on, the bigger the names that we're seeing, who knows? Maybe they even
That
send
list
over
is
MJF for one night only.
dude,
It could
I was
happen.
I was there the night he returned in Westbrook. That place popped. The pop was insane. I can only imagine the pop would be if he walked through that curtain.
Oh yeah, and honestly, any of those names you mentioned, and just even just normal people that are coming back, like AG, gonna be back in time. That's a pop right there. There's people that have been, follow AG back and forth from here to Japan.
One cool thing that helped me when I was first starting out, main event wrestling was run under Sonny Roselli earlier before it was re-brought back by Mike Turner. When it was run under Sonny Roselli, I was in Dexter, put the ring up, rolling around. At that point, I was reffing. So I would say probably year one, year two of my career, I was doing my rolls. Rip Bison, who at that point was Tomahawk, and
Yep.
AG, Anthony Green, both were really early into their careers. And they saw that my rolls weren't tight. So they took the time and helped me get my rolls tight. Since that point, AG and I have always had like a really close connection.
Yeah.
Like I'll talk to her like really buddy to the point that my 7-year old, that's her favorite wrestler. Like legit, AG is her favorite wrestler.
One of my favorite wrestlers. I actually own one of his ring jackets.
That's insane. She owns his last action figure of the first run.
Oh, nice, nice. I did not get an action figure. I got one ring jacket and I got one of his Zubaz headbands. But
I have I actually have one of his ring jackets. Now that I think
um,
about it.
AG is one of those stories that I just think that's very. It's worth the while for anybody in the wrestling industry to listen to because it's someone that came in. He started very similar to you just said. A rep. He was a rep. I remember where he
Mhm.
rep. NCW. I've been to those shows. And he's taken it. He's worked what he wanted to work. He's done what he wanted to do, and he just kept going forward and to make himself who he wanted to be, and it made his dreams all come true. He's hitting some of the highest peaks, and he's still not even. I don't even think even close to hitting his tops yet.
I don't
You
think so.
know, um, and he's one of those people that's very inspirational, and I've heard wonderful stories also, just like, similar to how you just said, he's helped you, he's helped promoters, he's helped people in a pinch, he's helped wrestlers, he's been very like a great back stage general for a lot of people and promotions and just very helpful. And that's another thing, and I've asked him like, different questions. I've never got the chance to interview him, but I did ask him once, something about wrestling. He was like, I want to leave wrestling in a better place than I found it. And then, I think he's done that. I think he's doing that now. I mean, just the small things he's done to help a lot of individuals, just like yourself. And it's great to see that he comes back. He teaches. He helps teach. He helps train people. He works over at New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Helps them over there. Um, and gives back to the younger kids that are coming in now. Because, like I said, it's an inspiring story. You too could be an AG. Just gonna put in the work, put in the dedication, make it your main focus. It can happen. But yeah, he's one of those guys that honestly I love that whole retro gimmick and it just kind of really just stuck with me. I was just stuck on it. It was cool when he did, the August Gray thing in WWE. It's a shame he got let go, but I do like also when he came back as alternative and just, he's just really been ripping it up and doing things that, it's great to see, like I said, also the interchange of styles because he takes and he learns all this stuff and when he's in Japan at Noah and then comes back here and brings it all back. And it's just like it's great seeing that. And Rip does
It's
the same thing, honestly.
They really do. It's amazing that they go over there and they learn that because Perry's done it too. They come back and they incorporate it, and it's stuff that us over here in America, unless you're watching that style over there, it's stuff you don't see every day. So it catches your attention. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and it's something like you might not even be able to see because depending on scheduling, timing, there's a lot of people work during the week so they can wrestle during the weekend. They don't have time to wake up and watch New Japan Wrestling or something else because it's not on the same schedule. And
No,
I know people that are watching, they have to watch, their own match or this and that, or they're trying to watch opponent matches. They don't have time to watch like pleasure wrestling either. So it's like everything they're doing is for work related. So it's like it's great to get that kind of lessons brought because there is multiple styles of wrestling across the world. New England has a very rich kind of hold with the whole Killer Kowalski kind of style and you see a
yeah,
lot of that out here. But when you move along, you go down south, you'll see a lot of the Von Erich style. You move out this way, this. You go up even further north, you got a lot of Stu Hart influence. So depending on where you go, it's totally different kind of style. Just little tweaks, little differences.
you're not wrong. March, Larry has us going down to the Carolinas for the territory he's part of. So I'm excited for that. We're in a rumble that night, Saturday night. So I'm excited to get in there and mix it up with God only knows who.
All new people.
All new people.
That's fun though.
I do know it's going to be me, Blade, B.A. Tatum, and cousin Larry himself representing the NAWA.
Awesome. That's a good squad though. I mean, it's a good representation.
I mean, I got to ride in a car with cousin Larry for over 14 hours. It's worth
Part
it
of the
though.
road stories will be fun.
Yes, yes, they will. Well, the only problem is if I'm not driving, I'm out in like 5 minutes.
Well, let me ask you something. Will he talk the whole 14 hours?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, easily.
Because I
He'll
remember
talk
on
the
my
whole
show,
14
he
hours.
would have kept going. If I didn't like say, this is it, he would have went like 3-4 hours. It
Oh
was
yeah,
nice. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, but my wife was like, "Are you gonna come back to bed? What are you doing down there?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm still talking to cousin Larry. I mean, we're interviewing. It was a late night."
his
Um,
mind, his mind is fun to pick.
it is.
Um, I'm at the point when it comes to his shows. I'm currently like I'll book the shows and then he'll go over it. He'll ask me why I did it this way. And then if he doesn't like it, he'll tweak it and be like, this is why I did it that way. So he's kind of teaching me how he's booking, which is
Yeah,
nice.
he's letting you kind of do, and then tweaking if need be, and then showing you why do and what you could do better and better choices.
Exactly.
And that's a great way of learning things rather than just kind of sitting, someone just showing you, and then never getting the experience of it. So I mean, I appreciate that, and plus, I mean, just teaching you. I think teaching in general is kind of new. I mean, you hear stories of, like, 20 years ago, people not wanting to teach anybody anything because they were afraid they would lose spots. If somebody would take their job.
I mean, you want to take my job, you're going to have to come and earn it. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I think now more people, wrestling pools are bigger, and there's more promotions, and it's not just you're working for two places. Someone's gonna come in and take it. It's like there's like 50 places you can work, and
Right.
it's like everybody needs somebody at some point. And then there's the whole tier system of wrestling. That there's multiple tiers of independent wrestling that go from wherever to all the way up to Vacation Land Cup at the Colisee, right at the top grand, in front of all those people. And it's like there's so much wrestling that people don't see. There's probably more that they don't see than there is that they actually do get to see.
So the Colisee, if you remember, Fandango knocked himself out.
Yeah.
Well, Greenlee threw up the X. We all came running out from the back. I had them go over and deal with Fandango. I was going to distract everybody and take the trash can out of the corner. While I'm taking the trash can out of the corner, I can hear people behind me going, "What are you doing? Go check on Fandango. What are you doing?" In my head, I'm going, "I'm doing my job. You're talking to me. You're focused on me. I'm doing what needs to be done." I get the
Hey,
trash can. I get the trash can out. I get the trash can underneath. I get out back, and I get complimented. Thank you for distracting everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just natural instincts. You don't want the eyes there. You want the eyes somewhere else.
yeah, I mean, of course. And I mean, to other people, obviously, they knew what was going on. They kind of like, oh, wait a minute, wait, something looked a little off here, or something kind of ended. But then, you got the common fan that's just there just to enjoy a show. And they're like, again, they need that kind of distraction. They don't want to just keep the show going on. And that's an important role, part of the show. Because unfortunately, injuries happen all the time in wrestling. But I think if fans knew that, like every time an injury happened, I think they'd be like, well, what am I doing here? Why am I watching this? Why are they still doing this? Like, but it's part of it. Like, you don't think about it, but like in football, it happens all the time. People just go with it. But in wrestling, it happens even more. You could have like 3 people get injured in one night for just
Um,
freak.
Beginning of the month, I wrestled Jason Maverick at MEW Fallback. Back body drop. I over rotated. Came down hands first instead of flat back. And I broke 2 fingers. They went straight back and then straight forward.
They look a little better now.
Yeah,
But
they're not bad now. They're less swollen, but they're still black and blue. It's nice.
I mean, nobody ever said wrestling's easy. Um, Unfortunately, I said injuries occur. Injuries just, you could get injured walking to the ring. It's usually like the things that you don't even think about doing that you do every day that get you injured. It's never the new spot. It's always the old stuff, you know. But you see it on TV too. People get injured. I mean, top stars getting injured on TV. I mean, it's just part of the
The,
industry.
this is the first or the second time. I want to say I was at AEW and it was a taping for Ring of Honor. I was there. I can't even remember her name. She blew out her knee. She's been to Limitless more than once.
Chris,
It'll come to me. No, it wasn't Chris. She's short.
Kylie Ray.
No. It will come to me.
But yeah, I mean, these things happen, unfortunately. Have you? What's the most serious injury you endured in the ring besides those fingers getting bent like that? Have you
Well,
ever had to
serious.
deal with?
I've been injured in the ring. It was a tag team elimination match for MEW. I went to take a belly to belly from Brandino Davis. And I didn't, again, land flat back. I didn't tuck myself enough. I came down on my shoulder and I broke my left collarbone.
Now you felt that right away in the match.
Right away.
Did you kind of tell the guy, we're gonna, bring this home. I'm done, or did you continue fighting?
The spot was I went for a tag. He jumped down and walked off. He thought I was really selling it because I was in pain.
Yeah.
He jumped down. I'm yelling, no, 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 come back. I got to tag you. Like literally going, I'm injured. He's walking away, thinking it's the spot. I turn around. I get up. I'm supposed to do a couple of things with Eric Johnson. I'm late. My timing's off on him. Eric pops me with a punch, stuns me. He goes, you good? I go, uh-uh. He goes, shoulder? I went, uh-huh. He goes, no, we're taking this home now. He was supposed to give me a splash on my chest. He rolled me over, so I'm face down, gave me a splash on the back, rolled me up, 1, 2, 3. I get out back. Ricky Williams is out there. He's a personal trainer. I go, Ricky, it's broken. I know it's broken. He goes, what's broken? I go, my collarbone. He goes, what? I go, it's broken. I know it is. He makes a makeshift sling, so my arm's in a sling. I'm like this the rest of the night. He goes, gets me ice. He goes, don't move it. Don't move it. I went, okay. Joey Gleetz, God rest his soul, was there. He was my riding buddy. Rode with me everywhere because he reffed everywhere. So wherever he was reffing, I was wrestling. He goes, I'm not going home until you take me home, until you go to the ER. I went, what? I go, I'm going to take you home first. No, you're going to go to the ER. I'm going with you. Oh, okay. Okay, Dad. It's an inside joke that he adopted me with the Cult of Cornet certificate. That's his adoption form to me. So I was like, okay, Dad. I went to the ER, and he was there beside me the whole time. Yep, yep, it's definitely broken. Yeah, yeah, I know it's broken. 4 to 6 weeks, and then it was supposed to be 4 weeks of physical rehab. But me being stubborn and wanting to get back in the ring and not wanting to do it the right way, I pushed through and went 3 weeks, took the sling off, started rolling around at 3 weeks, started bumping around at 3 weeks. Sean kept looking at me. He's like, "You good?" And I'm going, "Yep, yep, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine." Well, if I could go back in time and kick myself in the nuts, I would. Because now my shoulder, the bone's still kind of like not set right. So it's poking up a little. And now my shoulder kills constantly. So I'm like, mother, son of a truck, what are you doing?
And it's all just because you just didn't want to wait the time.
Because I didn't want to wait the time.
That's the
So
unfortunate part, though, with wrestling. If you're injured, you can't do it. It's like I know there's other things you can do, but it's like, who wants to do those things when you want to wrestle? You know, I could see guys getting the itch and just being like, "The hell with it, I'm going in."
IW, IWE had a show 2 weeks after I broke it. I had to sit there and run sound and watch the camera and wait, and it just ate at me. Like, ooh, excuse me. Like it ate at me like I want to be in there. I want to be doing this. No, no, no more waiting. And I basically pulled a British Bulldog, not a British, not, no, yeah, British Bulldog when he did his shoulder and just went for it. And I shouldn't have. I should have waited.
Well, lucky that I mean, it could have been worse. Could have healed. You could have had to have surgeries. I mean, eventually you might have to, unfortunately, to get it back in place, right? But it could have been worse.
The reason why I'm avoiding surgery is because I've seen the surgeon and he asked about it. He's like, "Do you want the surgery? If I do it and reset it, you're going to lose 20% of your strength." And I went, "Nope."
Yeah, that's tough there. Um,
Uh, I throw trash for a living when I'm not in the ring. So I kind of need that strength to hold on to the back of a trash truck.
yeah,
I
that
need that. I need that strength to throw people.
I was gonna say some days it must just be a whole day of just tossing trash inside and outside the ring,
Yeah, yeah. There are days like that.
you know. But hey, kudos to that. You know, um, you definitely need your strength for that, though. That would be kind of rough without half your strength. What did you say? 20%, even like 10% is tough.
20%.
40 is crazy. That's like half the strength gone. It's like,
I can't.
let me. I'll think about that when I don't need my strength. you
I need
know.
it.
But unfortunately, it's tough though because now you got to live with the pain, which is like pain isn't fun either.
No, the pain isn't fun.
Um, but you know, kudos for still going out there and doing it though, any which way. Through the pain, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know you're in pain right now. Uh,
No,
but like my mom, she has some issues where some of her discs are slipped, and then she has um stenosis of the spine, so she's always in constant pain. So like it got to a point that she was in pain, 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 and then all of a sudden she's like normal. And I'm like, "Are you still in pain?" She's like, "Yeah, but I don't really feel it anymore. It's just there.
it's
I've
just
lived with it."
that's it. It's just there.
Um, must be tough though. But yeah, so it sounds like you've had a pretty, I would say, interesting career. But now the last 2 years really picked it up, getting to travel more. You mentioned getting out of Maine. Were you out of Maine in 24?
I was out of Maine in 24. I wrestled for NCW in the Big City Rumble.
Nice. I was
That
there.
was fun. I want to go back there. I really do. I had fun.
You hear that, JC Mox? You got to take on Lee Miller. Give him a call.
I am constantly booked at New World Wrestling Extreme. I actually really like it over there. My first match there, I wrestled Stormy Savage, who
Ooh,
I trained with. So that was fun. We did that in Portland for their Portland show.
he came on my show last week. He's actually his YouTube will air tonight at 7. But he was a fun guest, the Hoochie Daddy,
The
Stormy
Hoochie
Savage.
Daddy Stormy Savage. He's easily becoming one of the guys I'm coming close with in the dojo. Then we moved to Woonsocket. First time down there, I wrestled Bayside.
Oh, nice.
That was fun. That was a
Did you rub
quick.
his belly?
What was that?
Did you have to rub his belly?
Yes, I didn't want to rub his belly. I avoided it as much as I could. I ended up rubbing his belly because he forced me to rub his belly.
Everybody rubs the belly.
You can't avoid rubbing that belly, no matter how hard you try.
Nope. Oh, that's great. Um,
And then I wrestled Steve Beck. That was fun. That
he's a
one,
great wrestler. I've been seeing a lot of him at BWA. He unfortunately lost the title match against Diego Alvarez, but hell of a fighter. He and what he had to do to even get into that title match was just amazing. He's another wild man. I've seen him do some crazy things, jumping from ladders, jumping from here, jumps, doing all sorts of things. Very athletic.
we couldn't touch the wire where the belt was hanging for the TLC, but our original idea was he was gonna pretty much hand over hand with the wire and then drop an elbow on me, Shawn Michaels style. But we got told no.
Hey, at least you didn't go with it anyways.
No, we were good. We got told no.
Uh,
It will take
hey,
away from the main event. We were like, yeah, you're right. Let's not do that.
although it did sound like it would be fun.
It would have been a great spot, but we were right. Don't take away from the main event.
Yeah, no, no. There's an order of things in a kind of a way that things need to be done. Kind of what makes a wrestling show like flow, and that's to have it flow appropriately. So the bigger stuff is at the end, and if you're doing these wild things, and then people like are only talking about that, nobody's talking about the main event. Like, well, we've invested all this time into the main event, nobody cares. Like,
You're right.
no, that it there is a flow to wrestling, and it's not just like with the wrestlers. And I always say, it's with the refs. Refs tell part of the story. They're the third person in the ring. You got the commentators. They're telling the people at home what's going on. They're narrating. You got the ring announcer. They're telling the people there what the hell's going on because those people might not know, or they might be new. You got multiple people doing multiple things at the same time to make everything turn into one wrestling show, and it's actually a beautiful art when it's done properly because you get these amazing shows.
Paula, who has been in the business forever, she's inducted into the New England Hall of Fame. She was Larry's right hand before me. It was always Paula and Larry. Paula said it best. Killer Kowalski once said, there's always a job that you can do in wrestling, no matter what or how big the job is. There's something you can do.
It's true, and you need that. All those jobs are very very important. Some people might not want those jobs. Some people might want just the wrestling job because that might be what gets the limelight. But it's a lot more things that go into it than just the two people fighting. That's just part of it. But just the fight alone can't keep, can't put on a show, can't do it, can't get people to even go to a show. You need people to fly. You need people to put out, promotional videos. You need people to edit. You need people to get out content. You need a lot of stuff. Like I said, every little thing. And there's stuff that people that might not be physical that can do behind the scenes stuff that can do wonders with it. Um, and it's great to see that because it's not just limited to big, kind of strong guys that it. When I was coming up and I wanted to be a wrestler, I was told no, I can't. I can't really train to be a wrestler because of my height and size. And it's just like I understood that. I was kind of bummed, like damn. And I probably could have gotten something else or learned something else, but at that point, my mindset was 18, and I was like, no, if I can't wrestle, the hell with it. Nobody ever remembers any of these other people. As I got older and learned other things, I learned these other people are actually really important.
Mm-hmm.
But also wrestling changed too. I probably could have walked in that school now, and they would have said, yeah, sure, come and train to wrestle because there's people your height and size too, people shorter than you that are out
Mm-hmm.
there wrestling. The wrestling industry as a whole has changed. It used to just be like really big men or guys that look like killers and stuff. They've changed that. They've made it more inclusive, which I like to see. It allows the littler man to kind of get in there at some point in the 2000s. That kind of shifted over, and it worked for the better of wrestling.
To this day, one of my favorite matches that I've had against a smaller guy was at Geno's versus Levi Spade.
Yep. Oh yeah, I know Levi.
I wish we had that match on tape. That match is easily my top 3 of my favorite matches I've done. It was just a lot of duck weave, big spot, big moves. When I caught him, David versus Goliath. It was great. I hit him. He got me in the corner, got up, started giving me the 10 punches. I cut him off from the 10 punches, walked him out, and gave him pretty much a Batista bomb. And the place went nuts. The Geno's, they'll go nuts for a headlock takeover, but they absolutely exploded on that Batista bomb.
Mhm.
Levi and I get upstairs. We're talking back and forth the match. I asked him how that powerbomb felt. He said, fine, not a problem. Larry hears that and goes, was that the finish? No. You hit him with a powerbomb and didn't finish it? Larry, it's his last Geno's show. This is his last show before he heads out to Colorado. We want to send him off right. Larry goes, okay. And then just walks off. Larry forgot it was his last show, so we wanted to give him everything he had. Once we said that, Larry's like,
I can see him getting mad at first. What the hell? What do you mean you did it like that? What?
and then once we said it was his last match, and it was the spot, like, that was the Faults 2, the Faults 3. And then we went into the finish. And once I explained that to Larry, Larry's like, oh, okay, that's fine. That makes perfect sense now. Like, it's his last match. We want to give him everything that he's got to send him on a good note. It just makes me mad that we never set the camera up to record it.
Oh, that's a bummer. I have to say, I guess that's my biggest pet peeve in wrestling shows that don't have footage because it's like, how are we supposed to see it if we don't get to the show? But then to other people, it's like, if you're running that many shows or doing that many shows, the camera isn't that important. You want the local people to come out, and it's like, and then there's other times where it just shit happens.
The cool thing now is Larry's recording everything that we're doing now, so he can send some to the territory, and then some that's going to go up on a YouTube channel he's building.
Nice.
And on top of that, Randy is sending cameras to every show. If a student's on
very
that
good.
show, If a
Nice.
student's on that show, he sends a camera. A, so we can turn around and watch the footage back. B, he has a second channel. I don't remember what it's called because you type in Limitless Dojo and it pulls up the channel now. It was originally the Dojo channel where all the
Yep.
matches that the Dojo students would be on. But it's not just Dojo student matches anymore. It's matches all over Maine that are happening, like hidden gems and classic matches through Maine's archives that are getting put up
Right.
there. So if we want to watch footage of our matches, we can get it there, or Randy will just give it to us.
That's good though. It's good to have, and like I said, footage is very important because, like I said, there's a lot of fans at home. If they don't know what it looks like, they're not going to come out to the show or spend money to see it yet. They want to see kind of a feel of what does it look like in that arena. I mean, yeah, now there's cam footages and people with their hand cams, but sometimes you want the final product. You want to hear the commentary. You want to hear all that, see all that. Randy obviously does an amazing job with this production team and the production work of Limitless Wrestling. It's a top premier.
Him
Um,
and Gary Aaron are phenomenal with that.
yeah, I mean it's top tier. He's pioneered kind of a lot of what wrestling, the top of wrestling is. Um, I like I said, I put them on a very high pedestal, but with rightfully due. I've seen them do amazing things over there. That has just been the forefront of things done in Maine. I mean, just bringing in the crowds, bringing the people, getting the press, getting the people to talk, getting people out of the area to come up. I mean, that was one of my first drives was to Maine. It was a 3-hour drive to go to Yarmouth, and I wanted to go to Limitless. Pandemic had just ended. I unfortunately didn't get to see the Chris Statlander versus AG championship match that I wanted, but everybody just went to that Limitless return show, and I was talking to somebody, I think it was Stormy and some other people. Nobody knew who was on that card. Nobody knew anything about the card. Nobody knew anything about it. They just knew there was a show. Maybe a few people were on there, and
Was
it
that the
sold out.
mystery card?
That was yeah. It was like patience is virtue, and nobody knew nothing about it, and it was just like we went in there, and everybody was just amazed. They had a great time. It was sold out too. People just went on. We love Limitless. Let's see wrestling. We don't care what the card is, and it was great to see that. Of course, it was a great card too. A lot of great fun that happened that night. Great MSP versus prestige match. You had Jake something versus Daniel Garcia. Still to this day, one of my favorite
Yes.
champions over there.
Okay, I know what show you're talking about now.
Yes. Um, I loved what Daniel Garcia did during the pandemic era and just in general. He was, that champion I think at the time that was needed.
For the longest time, when Garcia would come out, I was a fan before I started doing security. So I would sit in the crowd and I would heckle the fuck out of him. And I would tell him that he was boring because that technical style, it didn't catch my attention. It bored me. And I would constantly yell at him to do something to entertain me. I can tell you right now, over the pandemic, during those tapings, I was there. You can go back and watch. I was there for those. And I sat there and I watched this technical style and I started to pick up on it. And his last show, I pulled him aside and I go, okay. I go, all right, you're right. I'm wrong. You made me eat my words. He just smiled and goes, good.
I remember the last show he was on because he actually came out and just like stayed for a while, and every other show he was the heel, so he just would go in the back or just be gone. But that last like show or so, he stayed. He was signing autographs, just talking and shaking fans' hands and stuff. Just very nice person in general. I was actually really a big fan of him, Blackwood, the duo there. I was actually hoping at one point that Blackwood would have turned on him, was going to actually take the title from him. They were going to have a match. I don't know. But then Blackwood ended up moving. Garcia ended up moving to AEW. Things change every day in wrestling, but it was something that really enthralled me during that because, like I said, I got into wrestling around indie wrestling. I got into indie wrestling around the same time you got into indie wrestling, around 2017, 18. I started checking out local shows like NCW because
I mean,
when I went to indie wrestling as a kid, it was nothing like today.
my first couple training sessions were actually back when MSP started.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been around the business that long, but I wasn't continuously training at that point.
Yeah, no. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, no, I get that. No, like when I grew up with wrestling. I grew up watching WWF. I was a WWF kid. 80s was wild. You had
I
Hogan.
I
You
know
had
it's not
Step.
cool to say. I know it's not cool to say now, but I'll always be a Hogan fan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because if I'd had a hard think about it, I probably wouldn't be a wrestling fan if it wasn't for Hogan. Yeah,
I
Savage
mean,
grabbed my attention, but it wasn't. It was Hogan that first grabbed it because him fighting these monster guys like King Kong Bundy and Andre the Giant and these guys that would just uh, I don't know. It's hard to explain unless you were there at the time. But at the time, you didn't know anything else but Hulk Hogan. You didn't know his personal life. You didn't know he lived whatever he did. You didn't know anything about that. You knew what you saw on TV.
my birthday this year, Eric Johnson had a Hulk Hogan autographed ring boot for sale at Ring Wars. I called my mom, told her I wanted it. My mom's like, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. I'm on the phone with my mom going, come on. My mom's like, I can't afford it. Stop it. I went, all right, fine. I go to turn around to go back inside. My wife hands me the boot. I went, what? She goes, happy birthday. I went,
Wow.
what? Happy birthday. I about cried because my inner child was like, that's my hero.
Yeah.
That that's my hero. So I ran to the truck, opened the truck, put it in the back seat, locked my truck up, and then went and did the show.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember I got a cool piece. It was during pandemic again. During that era, I was able to like kind of a lot of things were on sale. Wrestlers were selling a lot of stuff. I was able to get from his like beat shop a double autograph of like Hulk Hogan and Hollywood Hogan on the bottom. It has like a double photo.
That's awesome.
Um, and then I have another one where WrestleMania 7, but I only have Hogan. It's weird. I keep missing Slaughter. I need to get Slaughter to sign on his half. He does meet and greets too. It's just like I haven't gotten to getting to see him, but I need to get him to sign the other half, and then I'll have the whole poster of WrestleMania 7. Um, Again, that's part of my childhood. But then, I grew into it. 90s came along. Next Generation, Bret Hart was HBK, and then into WWE. The Attitude Era, and that spiked my attention. Obviously, I was at the right age. I was a teenager. It hit all the right spots. Wrestling was kind of on the cool side of things. People were talking about it, and then everything just kind of fell flat. Life happened. I didn't watch wrestling. I didn't do anything with wrestling till around 2017, 18 when I went to an indie show. And like I said, I went to indie shows as a kid, and they were just so much different. I would go there to be like, there'd be 7 or 8 matches, but I couldn't tell you who was on the card. I couldn't tell you who these guys were. I couldn't tell you if they were any good, bad, named, unnamed. They were nobodies at the time, and they were just, working off the one-offs, bringing in the Honky Tonk Man, bringing in Greg Valentine, bringing in different guys that had worked WWE, bringing in Doink, Warlord, other guys. It wasn't what it was when I stepped in the ring in 17, 18. There was no ex WWE guy, but there was people like AG, MSP was there at that NCW show. Mike Montero was there. Um, Alexander Lee was there. All these guys had their own personality, their own style, their own gimmick, and they were their own superstar. And that was the whole total. That changed my mindset of what wrestling, indie wrestling, everything. I fell back in love with wrestling because it got me to a point where I could get close to it. An indie show is much more personable than going to WWE. You can sit ringside, for a lot cheaper, and you get to talk to these guys during intermission. I thought that was so cool. When I first went to one of these shows, these guys would come out and spend some time, and then like I said, it just changed my perception on the whole ordeal. But you know, again, from that point on, I was hooked, on indie wrestling and what it was.
Indie wrestling, my first wrestling show I went to was IWE. I want to say 2012, roughly 2012. The Al Bundy Memorial Tournament. And Sonny Roselli. This is what really drove me to get into wrestling, to get behind the curtain, to get into the ring. Sonny and I were going back and forth jaw jacking as he was in the ring and he cheated to win. And I looked at him and I go, "You suck, Sonny Roselli." He goes, without missing a beat, he goes, "Yeah, and you swallow." I go, "Someday you're going to eat those words." Well, come 2 years into my career down at Skip's Lounge, it was me and Mark Mahoney. It was supposed to be me and Corey Cox versus Larry and Sonny Roselli. Well, I finally got my hands on Sonny, and Sonny hit me twice, potatoed me on the second one, and tagged Larry in before I could return anything.
Oh,
I was like, all right, whatever, Sonny, you're whatever. Come Skowhegan Fair later that year, him and I are working, and I accidentally went to give him Triple H's high knee to cut him off. And as I did, I caught him in the throat with it.
uh,
And I'm like, "I'm sorry." He goes, "Oh, you're not sorry. That's from earlier this year." I went, "No, no, 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 no. I'm really
oh yeah,
sorry."
that guy's serious. uh,
He just started laughing.
oh boy, gotta love it though. Well, you're also gonna be coming back to Mass soon. December 13th is gonna be coming upon us. BWA Deck in the Halls. You got this match here versus Red Dog. I mean, this is gonna be a hell of a match. And again, this is gonna be at 150 Bennington Street, Revere, Massachusetts. Doors are open at 7. Bells at 8. All tickets $15. Get there early, get a good seat, see all this action. But this is gonna be one of the matches taking place. We actually have a bunch of people coming out from Maine. Another Maine person has actually challenged the champion, Connor Murphy, Hazard, has challenged Diego Alvarez for the title. So I mean, we got a bunch of people coming down from Maine. It's gonna be wild. But I saw your match the other day. I'm like, he's coming on the show. We're gonna talk about you. You're fighting Red Dog.
I have watched Red Dog since I first saw him at New World Wrestling Extreme. He caught my attention, and I said one day, I want to stand across from the ring from Red Dog. I want that match. Just saying it then and looking back now, when that got announced, I went, fuck yes. I go, this is one that I want. This is one that is either going to make me or break me. This is going to be hard hitting. This is going to be impactful spots. This is going to be, I'm coming to make a name for myself and I'm not backing down. I'm about to show mass the meaning of when my knee goes up, your lights go out. This is not a game to me. This is for me to expand. This is for me to grow. I'm coming to prove what I've done in Maine is not a joke. BWA. Hi. Let's do this.
Wow, that sounds, gives me goosebumps. I'm excited for it. I get to be there commenting. I get to call the action. I get to see this right in front of my face. Talk about impact and stuff. I love seeing it, and I'm gonna say it. This is probably gonna be one of the most hard hitting fights of the night. You two are gonna brawl, aren't you? You guys are gonna just battle it out. It's gonna be
Oh,
war.
yes.
Um, but that's what I think. Boston needs. That's why I like it. There's a lot of stuff that's just like I said, a lot of fights. A lot of people that want to prove themselves. A lot of people that want to bring that fight. And it's a good night. $15 can't go wrong. Indie wrestling. You support it. You come down. It's like I said, it's a fun night, good crowd, great fans. You don't get any of these people that are there to start trouble. They're there to have a good time, support the fans, and just I said, have fun. Sometimes people I think lose that aspect that wrestling's supposed to be fun. Whether you're the wrestler, whether you're the fan, whether you're the worker, whatever you're doing. At the end of the day, yes, there's money involved and this and that, but it should be fun. You should enjoy what you're doing. It should bring you some sort of pleasure.
It should be your escape from reality.
Well, yes, that's why I think they put wrestling on the weekends. You got all this bullshit Monday through Friday. You got your regular job, all this crap. You escape into the weekend to the wrestling. You go work, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just go. You're in these other alternate universes of, different promotions and whatever their rules might entail. And whoever you are there, you might be somebody here, it might be somebody somewhere else. Who knows? But it's all part of this magical escape world that you could just go to and do these things, and it's great. Being a fan, like I said, it's a great escape to get away from all the craziness that takes place on a Monday through Friday in the world.
It's one of my favorite places to just get away. I can just, if I'm not on Limitless, I love Limitless. If I'm not needed for security, I will buy a ticket and I will sit in the crowd and I will enjoy it. I don't do it very often because I'm usually needed. But this last show, I literally sat in the crowd right next to Don Kincaid and enjoyed that show. I don't, they say once you peek behind the curtain, it's never the same to you again. For the first time in 7 years, the last Vacationland show, I was able to actually shut that off and just enjoy it. I don't know how I did it. Granted, there were still spots that I could pick up that were slightly off, but when my brain did that, I shut my eyes for 30 seconds and said nope. And then back to it I went. I wanted to be that fan again. I didn't want to be a worker or break it apart and see the mistakes. I wanted to enjoy it.
Yeah. See, if you don't know, sometimes, I mean, honestly, if you don't know what you're looking for, then you're not going to see it because a lot of the stuff that you're looking at is stuff that only workers would know about. It's not stuff that the general fan would have any clue what the hell their idea is looking at.
Exactly.
And it's only because, like I said, like you've been in the train, what little 30 seconds or 10 seconds are off look like. It's just like other people don't know that. They only care, like you said, somebody gets knocked out or breaks their neck or you see an injury, then they say, oh, botch, but they don't know all the little things that people consider not, correct or whatever. So it's kind of funny to watch the two together because a wrestler will, if they're in full wrestler mode, they'll just it could be the best match and they'll just like tear it apart. Be like, nope, this was wrong. Nope, I could have done this better. Nope, nope, nope. Ah, it's just like no.
That's
Let's
it.
just stop and breathe. Let's just enjoy this.
My match, our second show, I'd say ours because I'm 1/3 owner of Matt Muscle Pro Wrestling. Our second show at Skowhegan on the River, I faced Jason Devine. You go back and watch that match, and that match there are spots in that match that are flawless, that look flawless, and that's because Jason Devine is a fantastic, phenomenal worker, and I personally see covered for me.
One of the best out of their city, if you might add.
And one of my favorite people. I absolutely love him. And then I go back, everybody said that match was clean. I go back and watch it, and I'm like, nope, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I did this, that, this, and this. He covered for me here, there, and here. And everybody's like, what are you talking? I'm like, this. Look at this. This is what I did wrong. And
Like
they're
what?
like, what? I'm like, no, this is what I did wrong. And they just don't get it.
It amazed me. Speaking of Jay Zabano, I just saw, he got like he's gonna be on that We Love Wrestling Death Show match. I'm so excited for him because he really wanted that out in Chicago, and like
I am super
everybody
excited for him.
like just voted for him, and like he got on that. And I'm just like, yes, somebody from Mass coming out there representing. It's like that's awesome though because like he's another person that was there when I first walked through those doors. You had Mike Montero, Jason Devine, and Ricky Medeiros there. All those the trios, and they were kicking ass and taking names, and they were three people that I actually like. Damn, like he's like the Adam Cole of the Indies team. These dudes are like making a name for themselves. And they have these swift moves. They're very athletic. Like again, this isn't what the indie scene looked like when I went. When I went, guys were in their 40s on their way out. They were getting jobbed to like some WWE guy that was on their way out. It was like it wasn't like that. These people were putting on competitive matches and it's something totally different. But those are other names that I just automatically think of when I think of this whole journey of where it all started. And it was just that one NCW show. I think it was like Aftermath or something, and it was just just something that was just kind of like, oh look, there's wrestling within 20 minutes of my house. I think I'm gonna go. Oh look, it's only $10. I'm gonna go. Like this will be fun. I don't know what it's gonna entail, and like it was just wild. And it turned into a whole thing. Like I wanted to get more eyes on the in the scene. I started podcasting. I started interviewing people. I started traveling. After pandemic, I went buck wild. I went to Maine. Then I started to head out to Jersey. I started to do all the stuff that was out there. Started going to Ridgefield Park. There was a bunch of shows out there. Like every week it seemed. H2O Center had stuff. GCW. Then back and forth, going to Maine, going to Jersey, just seeing it all, soaking it all in.
SWF in New Jersey is a goal of mine.
Very nice.
That is one I would love to be on.
Jersey wrestling has some of the finest wrestling out there too, and there's always something going on. Another thriving scene. Just what I love to see. Maine also now is a thriving scene. There's more promotions I feel right now operating than ever before, and it's nice to see that.
There are rumblings that will be confirmed in January, but there are rumblings that Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling is going to come back in 2025.
Well, that'll be good.
That will be very good.
Very good. And that's what I was saying. Stormy, I think it might have again been Stormy when we were talking about just that. How the landscape had changed. I've talked to people that have been in the main area. Like Christian Nicholson, he was there early on in like the wrestling scene of Maine, and
Toko.
yeah, and how it's changed from like then to now is insanity. If you think
Really
about it,
insane.
but it's changed. It's changed for the better. But you got all these new promotions, you're like MPW running, EWA running. You got all these great places that are
Yeah.
kind of giving work in the different areas.
MPW. I'm coming back in January for MPW. I'm tagging with my partner, Samuel Matthews. We are the Pathway. We are taking on the Wild. We are taking on DCMC.
Ooh.
And there's a fourth team that I don't care about that's in that match. I just want to get my hands on the Wild. I've got something to prove. I'm annoyed at the fact that I helped MPW in Fairfield when they asked. I pushed the crap out of it, and yet they said they would call. It's been 2 months, not a message, not a call, nothing. It took my tag partner reaching out to me going, I need you, for me to finally say, fine, I'll give in. I'll be there.
Well, I mean, actions will speak louder than words, and when you get your hands on them, I mean, it's gonna be lights out. Um, Let me ask you one more question because we're just about out of time. Where can the fine folks at home and people find you online? Do you do the whole social media thing?
I do the whole social media thing. You can find me on Facebook by my name. It says Lee Edward Miller. It will say lights out in the parentheses. That is me. You can find my other one, my work page, Lights Out Lee Miller. On Facebook, you can find me on Instagram under Lights Out 207. You can find me on TikTok under Lights Out 207. And that's it.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. We can't wait to see more of what you're doing, and we can't wait to see you at BWA. Again, December 13th at Beachmont Ave in Revere. It's gonna be a great night. BWA presents Deck in the Halls. And you and Red Dog gonna be duking it out. And like I said, again, I'm gonna call it now. It's gonna be one of probably, like you said, the most hard hitting matches of the night. With a lot to prove on both sides. Can't wait for it. Thank you though for coming on. Thanks for taking the time, and thank you everybody at home for watching. As always, appreciated. And as always, do support indie wrestling. Thank you very much. Versace Stoner out.
Lights flash bright and velvet ring. In the ring, there's no such thing. A silent night of peace and love. It's chaos from corner to above. Muscles flex and bodies clash. Holidays turn into a bash. Crowds roll out.